Hey guys, welcome back to Out Loud with Claudia Jordan. My next guest is a best-selling author, motivational speaker, and owner of Niyah Zuri books. Please welcome Nyakana. Hello, beautiful.
Hello, gorgeous. How are you?
Good. You look so cute. Like you are so pretty, and just I could just see you're just like positive vibes is coming through.
Oh,
Like,
I appreciate it, sis. Your aura is beautiful too. It's all about that inner work.
thank you. Oh, my inner work needs work, trust and believe, but we'll get that. We'll get to that later.
We'll get that straightened out. Don't worry.
How are you dealing with these unprecedented times? Let's just get into that because out the gate, that's just something I just need to know. How are you doing?
You know what, sis? Thank you for the mental check. I feel that most of us need to stop for a minute and actually ask our friends and family that, because they're with the day-to-day, it can be very difficult. All the stress, the news, having to work from home for people who are working remote. You've got the kids there, they're not at school. There's a lot of pressure. And even amongst all that, I remind myself that everything that I can think, I can control. So I'm very mindful. I take time to be still and meditate. And at the end of the day, I am pushing myself each and every day to spread the Niyah Zuri message. So I am actually thriving in quarantine.
Okay, well, we're going to get into the Niyah Zuri message very soon. So I know you're using this time to focus on your writing, right?
Yes.
Or have you worked on a new skill? Have you picked up a new skill? Have you realized something about yourself you didn't realize you didn't know before?
I actually didn't realize I was so good at hiking. So being in quarantine, I love to be outside, but I actually challenged myself on like different routes and to really be outside more like in the mountainous areas here in Connecticut. And it was more of a mental challenge as well, trying to see if I can reach a certain peak, if I can climb, push myself further. And that mental success helped me to really put that discipline into my work. So because everything, once again, mentally that you can control are things in your everyday life. So I try to always make sure I pay attention to nature and my surroundings, what type of life lessons I can pick up on them.
So you're a New England girl.
I am. I'm a New England girl from Connecticut. Shout out to Connecticut.
So I'm your neighbor because I'm from Rhode Island.
All right, sis. So you know what it is.
No, okay. And people always ask you, they got black people in Connecticut? That's the first.
Yes, we exist. We're here.
A lot too, right? There's a lot of us out there.
There are a lot of us out here, and we are doing our thing. Tons of creatives, tons of successful entrepreneurs, tons of people that are, definitely pushing and progressing for us.
Got it. Okay. Are you a Patriots fan or are you?
I'm not a Pats fan though, because I grew up in Stamford, so I'm too close. I'm so close to Connecticut, to New York Giants.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
interview over. Just kidding. Now, outside of your writing, you're also an entrepreneur. Now, many Black business owners have been thriving during the quarantine, contrary to popular belief. Like I know a lot of people that are really doing their thing. So are you experiencing success right now with your business?
Sis, I'm very thankful and grateful. I am experiencing success. And, I think right now with quarantine and with COVID and everything else that's going on in the world, we have to get used to not doing things the traditional way. We have to think outside of the box. And now we really have to become more skillful at doing virtual things and things that don't require that person-to-person, in front of you connection. But guess what? That shouldn't stop your business from thriving. There are definitely things that you can do. And if not, you can research. You can lean on a mentor, lean on your community to say, hey, I know we usually, do business in this way. You meet me at the XYZ spot and we exchange contracts and we sign this way. Understand how to sign contracts digitally, how you can get things sent over, how you can do, a Zoom call. Look at us. We're still using this platform to connect, right? So, but even with the whole social distancing, it's not actual social distancing. It's just physical distancing. So as long as you can take whatever your business practices and whatever your business goals are and just, once again, get that outside of the box and start challenging yourself to be able to achieve those things, but just not in the everyday normal way, it can be done. It can definitely be done. Don't allow that to frustrate you or discourage you, that you can be successful. And of course, especially if you have employees that are relying on you, that's a whole other, discussion. But, there are things that are set in place right now to at least lessen the blow, maybe not completely offer the full solution, especially for families that need that financial support. But that's what, you should do as an employer. Definitely make sure you're providing that information to your employees so you can support them and their family structures.
Speaking of support, why do you think there's a sudden increase in support of Black entrepreneurs? Finally.
You know why.
I'm going to say it though. Yes, I know why.
It's that guilt, girl. It's the guilt. You know what it is. It's the guilt. And honestly, this is something that we that we knew was coming, you know. And at the end of the day, what I actually really love about all of this on the flip side is the fact that I believe Black people and people of color as a whole, we're really holding ourselves more accountable for supporting each other, you know, really being conscious of it. Okay, well, am I going to buy a t-shirt from this vendor, or am I going to buy a t-shirt from my sister's vendor, you know, and not asking for that discount like we always do because we want that deal because it's from one of our own. Like, we've got to cut that out. We've got to cut that out. We need to definitely invest in ourselves, keep that dollar circulating in our own communities longer, and understand that at the end of the day, that's how we progress. But really, with supporting one another, there is more than enough room at that table. We do not have to be alone. And at the same time, those of us that are maybe a little bit more ahead, we should definitely be knowledge sharing and really pulling those up underneath us, because that peak is beautiful. And everyone loves that that glorious peak, because you can see everything from up there. But don't forget the valley that you came from and the strength that you got from pulling yourself up so you can then help others.
Real talk. I really, really pray that this isn't just a trend. It does feel different this time. Like, it's not so, like, a lot of times we're mad about something for 2 weeks, we unite, and then we kind of go our separate ways. I'm thinking the pandemic is kind of keeping us kind of focused because we have no other choice. And I really, if y'all don't take anything else from this conversation we're having right now, please continue the same energy you're putting into finally supporting your Black-owned businesses. Yeah. Keep going. We've made everybody else millionaires except ourselves, and it's time for us to do that for ourselves. And
absolutely.
So we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more right after the break.
What to expect when you're expecting.
Like here.
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for them. Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Deborah Dan,
Megan Holiday, Nina Pop, Stephanie Clark, Dell, Niyah Webster, Christopher Dion,
Aubrey, George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd. Say his name.
Say their names. Once again and always, we fight for justice. Black Lives Matter. Go to blacklivesmatter.com.
Welcome back to Out Loud with Claudia Jordan. We are talking to author and entrepreneur Anna Nyakana. That's a beautiful name. I know it has to. What does that mean, Anna?
So Nyakana or Nyakana, it's actually my last name from my father's side of the family from southwestern Uganda. So Uganda, stand up on my Nyankoli family. And it's interesting because it actually inspired my main character's name, Niyah, or Niyah Zuri, short for Nyakana.
Love it. So your name means something, though. Niyah means something? Does Niyah mean?
Yeah, so Niyah, well, actually, Niyah and Niyah Zuri mean beautiful purpose. And I did in Swahili, and I did that on purpose because my messaging and everything really with my book down to my movement is really to inspire people to live beautifully in their purpose, whatever that passion is, whatever that skill set is, whatever it is that keeps you up at night, or that thing that you will do for free, that's your passion. So I'm just inspiring everyone to make sure they ignite that flame and really live purposefully.
You know, I need to have a talk with my mother after this because I'm so sick and tired of this. Every time someone comes with a unique or beautiful name, I ask them, what does your name mean? It's like beautiful warrior, helper of man, of justice. And then I look my name up, right? Claudia, named after some actress in Italy. Okay. And it means lame. Okay? Lame as a I'm like, Mom, for real?
Don't worry about that, Claudia. Honestly, it does not matter the name that you're given. It's what you do with that name that assigns it the value.
Easy for you to say. What yours mean again? Beautiful. How would you feel if your name meant lame? And then, you know what I'm saying?
I hear you, sis. But we're going to take that lame. We're going to flip it. We're going to flip it. We're going to make it that number one name. And once again, look at the amazing things that you're doing. Look what you're doing for Fox Soul. Look at your career. That's what you should focus on. So other mothers and fathers right now are probably thinking of you when they name their daughters Claudia. So you are winning. Okay?
So let's get back on you. So when did you realize you wanted to be an author?
Oh my goodness. I've always known that I wanted to write. I've always been a creative. I loved music, was my first love, gave that a try really hard in my 20s. And then I shifted gears and I had this overwhelming desire to really make an impact in the youth. And I said, I'm going to take all my skills of songwriting and performance and just being out in front of people and put it into the messaging of Niyah Zuri and the Pharaoh's Throne.
So music was your first love. So do you still do music?
Well, I still have a full production space, so I play whenever I'm creative, especially if I'm actually having writer's block. That's one of the methods of kind of working through that story, is just jumping on my piano, jumping on guitar, whatever it is, and just kind of vibing out, writing something to just help me get through some of those hurdles of whatever's stopping me from that blockage.
So you can play the piano, you
Yes.
are a musician, you're a writer, you have a dope meaning of your name, and you're beautiful. What else? What else?
What else? I am the number one youth motivational speaker in the world. At least I'm coming for that number one spot.
Okay.
Because, you know, Claudia, at the end of the day, like, our youth really hold the key to transforming everything in this world. And you will not get a better return on your investment than investing in our kids.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm
Real talk.
claiming you as a fellow New Englander now. So who were some of the authors that inspired you? Like who motivated you? Who inspired you?
You know, those are amazing questions. And the interesting thing is I didn't have a lot of access to authors that inspired me growing up, hence why I am writing to make that change and really change that narrative. I know one author that inspired me more in my adult life, especially when I started on the journey of publishing and really getting the book out there, was actually J.K. Rowling. You know, her and I experienced a lot of similar things in that process because she, like I, have gotten rejected time and time and time again. It's like, oh yeah, we like your story, but you know, your character's too urban, or, oh, you know, they're going back to ancient Egypt. That's too African. That's too Black. Like, we love your story and the time traveling, and that sounds great, but we need you to change ABC. And I just decided that I would not do it. It's a story that is worth telling. And growing up, no one, you know, I could never find anyone on the cover that looked like me. So I told myself that one day I'm going to change that narrative. I'm going to make sure there's representation in children's book. I'm going to take it a step further and make sure that I'm beating the door down to get into these schools and really bring diversity to the classroom.
I love that, you know, you're talking about a place in your career or in your life where things were too Black. And now here we are where everyone clamoring to sign the hottest Black actor and buying TV shows, and like everything's about what's Black now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they can't get enough. And I didn't think I'd get to see this in my lifetime. And I'm very happy that we finally get to see this, right?
I'm happy that we get to see it. Absolutely.
So your family immigrated from Germany to the United States in the early 90s. Did you have culture shock when you arrived? Or were you like, oh my God, what's going on?
You know what? I was so young. It wasn't so much of a culture shock. It's just that no one could understand me because German and Russian were the only languages that I knew. So it was more of, why don't you know what I'm saying, you know, versus the culture shock.
Language, huh?
Yeah, so German's my first, Russian was my second, and English was my third. And then, you know, going through school and primary school, I learned Spanish and a few other languages throughout the way. But, you know, it was more of understanding, one, figuring out how I can communicate to people. But the culture shock actually came a little bit later on, more like the preteen years, because I didn't quite fit in. And I was bullied because I didn't quite fit in that box. And I couldn't really check off that form that they always give you in school, because in the US, it's very racially focused, whereas the rest of the world is more culture and heritage and, you know, your tribe and where you come from. And those are the things that people focus on versus just a skin tone.
So on top of all the other accolades, you also speak 3 languages. Okay. No. I'm
Okay, sis.
I think we're like 9 things right now.
Oh, thank you for the support. I really appreciate
no.
you giving me upliftment. I'm going to take it. Thank you.
Yeah, please do. So you're biracial.
I am. Yes, my father's Ugandan from East Africa. My mother's from Moldova, which is former Soviet Union. She's also half German. So I'm a woman of the world. I'm definitely a woman of the world. I have a family that's very multicultural. And once again, coming to the US, trying to figure out my place, at the end of the day, I also, through maturity and through my own life experiences, I realized I'm a Black woman. I'm a Black woman in America. I'm a woman of color. I'm actually a 100 woman of color. You know what that is here in New England. And, you know, embracing that actually gave me more of an identity for myself. And it helped me really find my voice and my place in this world and be able to connect with other girls and boys that look like me and maybe are struggling with their own identity, whether it's racial identity, gender identity, or just finding their place in the world, like the guest that was before me being from the foster system, things of that sort. So definitely, I feel that nothing is a mistake. Everything is something that contributes to that fabric of your journey.
good for you. I know a lot of children that, you know, when they're biracial and when they're younger, some of them tend to ignore one side, or a lot of times, which to me is even more heartbreaking, is when I see a biracial child totally discount the black side and say, I'm not black, thinking that would be an easier journey in this life. And I tell, my mom's from Italy, and I would tell people that it was never an issue at home. It was when I school, the kids would want to make you choose, and who are you, and you're not like them, or you're one of us, with us, or you're not with us. And that's a horrible thing to do to little kids.
Most definitely.
So, well, you seem to have a really good handle on it. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more after the break.
We are tired of mourning. We are tired of suffering, and we are tired of waiting. Experts predict that the Black female vote will be central to the 2020 presidential elections. The truth is in the numbers, but the voice is in you. Imagine if we use our collective voice to create a collective powerhouse. Black women have always been at the forefront of lifting our voices to vote. In this very moment, we can change the history of this nation. Let us not forget that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. You see us, but now it's time for you to hear us. I'm Ivy Coco, your Miss Black California USA 2020. Queens are lifting our voices to vote. Join us and let's rise up.
Welcome back to Out Loud with Claudia Jordan. We're talking with author and entrepreneur Nyakana. We're going to just talk real quickly a little bit more about the biracial thing, and then we're going to move on to your brand, and we definitely want to promote that and get people behind you because what you're doing is fantastic. During the break, we were talking about, I asked you if you got into fights or how tough it was being a biracial child or teenager. And you have lived in a lot of different places, and you said it was toughest in the United States. Can you speak on that?
Most definitely. It was definitely tougher here in the US, kind of like we touched on. Everyone tries to make you fit into a certain box. And, you know, you're not black enough for one group, you're not white enough for another group. But something that I had to quickly realize was that it doesn't matter if you have 1/18th or you have, 99% of blackness in your skin tone, in your melanin, in your body, in your voice, in your hair, whatever it is. Black is black. And it was something that I had to quickly realize and say, okay, I'm being bullied, right? My things are being stolen. My locker's being trashed. No one understands me. I speak a weird language. I don't look like them. I don't really identify them. They can't really put me in a box. But I actually realized just more through self-discovery and then maturity more in my preteen years that I'm a woman of color. The rest of the world sees me this way. I'm in the US, and culture may not be that embraced here, like world culture, but I can be embraced by my community by embracing myself. And once I made that connection, and once I made that flip, the bullying stopped because I was now confident. I was sure in myself. I was sure in who I am and the things that I will end up doing one day.
I'm going to need Black folks. I'm talking to you all right now to stop doing this to biracial children. I've been seeing a lot of stuff online where if you're biracial, you're not Black. Basically, you can't sit with us. And that is a horrible thing to have to feel, that rejection. We expect rejection from racist white folks, but we do not expect rejection from our people. And I understand what my full Black brothers and sisters go through, my darker hued people go through. It is awful how they're treated in America, but to then internally amongst ourselves, we have got to stop all that nonsense and all that colorism and division. That's something that I wish we can put a stop to, because it is really affecting self-esteem, and we need more of us, not less. Like, let's not divide ourselves. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about your book, Niyah Zuri and the Pharaoh's Throne. Tell us about it.
Yes, I'm gonna pop it in here real quick. So, Niyah Zuri and the Pharaoh's Throne. It follows self-assured heroine Niyah Zuri, who's my fearless Black heroine, and her best friends Miguel and Hugo Gonzalez. They actually time travel through the use of this mystical map, and they go back and forth in time. They accidentally go back to the Triassic period, and then they're actually safely assigned missions by Niyah's homeroom teacher, and they go back to ancient Egypt and help Prince Tut overcome his fear of rule. And they're all about the same age, 8 years old. A lot of kids don't know that Tut was only 8 when he became king. So guess what that means? If he can be a pharaoh, so can you. So don't allow your age to really stop you from going after anything that you want in this life. And like we were talking about before, when when the show first started, and about your name and the meaning of it. Niyah Zuri is actually more than a character. It's more than a book. It's more than just a series. It is really a way of life to really live beautifully in your purpose. And that is something that I tell every child each and every single day, whether we're connecting through, a Zoom, or we're doing a writer's workshop or an author's visit, or I'm doing like a one-on-one FaceTime, whatever the case is, because you have to remember that your value is high. And honestly, Claudia, I wish someone would have came to my school when I was, in elementary school or middle school and really tell me that, guess what? Your value is limitless. You have worth. You can really not just dream big, you can really walk in your dreams. That's just one of my fundamental truths of Niyah Zuri, because parents, in communities, we have this habit of telling our kids, dream big, dream as big as you can. Okay, but what's the second part to that? Now take that dream, figure out what steps you need to take, what goals, what you need to actually put in place to get that outcome. That way we can be progressive. That way you can actually be walking in your dreams right now. And life is for the taking. So definitely right now in quarantine, take that extra time. Kids, anybody else, adults, anyone, entrepreneur, anyone that has a skill maybe that they want, or a business that they're thinking, or any sort of crazy idea, as I like to call it, because my crazy ideas tend to really be wonderful things once I apply them. And really take this time and invest in yourself and see how you can make those things a reality.
Love it. Such a great mission that you have here, that great work that you're doing now. You've said it's critical that children see a reflection of themselves in the books that they read. My mission is to inspire them one adventure at a time. Speak up a little bit.
Most definitely. So once again, I could never find anyone on the cover that looked like me growing up. I swore I would make that difference. And when I decided to write a book, I knew the exact story that I wanted. And I wanted to be something that inspired girls, boys, or unknown or otherwise, to really be connected, because literacy has the ability to open your mind. And right now, with the way that the education system is, there's a lot of indoctrination. And we all know that indoctrination is really just kind of dimming what you know, and not really allowing you to know your self-worth. Education frees the mind. It allows you to be a creative thinker. And when you can think creatively, you are limitless. And when you understand your history and where you come from versus just slavery or civil rights, and understanding you come from a history where we were the first philosophers, the first astronomers, the first doctors, the first poets, the first dancers, the first of everything, and having that self-love, well, you're going to be boundless after that. So it's really about shaking up the system, turning the curriculum upside down, letting children know that they come from more than just the history that they're taught, and that we are beyond Black History Month, and our history is so vast and it's more 365 in just 28 days, right? So when you allow that to happen, the most beautiful thing happens. There's a transformation. There's an empowerment that a child will feel. And even if you can tell, there's no one on the cover that looks the same. And that is on purpose. It also celebrates diversity, okay? And if you don't feel like you're represented in it, guess what? You are going to have the opportunity to learn about cultures that are different from your own. And isn't that what we need right now, especially with the state of the world? Really being able to have a way to wipe away that ignorance. It's hard to do that in the mind of someone in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s and beyond. But in the minds of the youth, well, that's my mission, and I will be consistently persistent.
As my brother is in education, some of my really close friends are in education, and they constantly tell me how things are being suppressed. All the things that you're talking about are being stripped away from the schools. There's not enough money for this or that. No sports, no arts, no nothing. Just reading and math, and that's it. And I know you've worked with school administrators in your state to implement the Niyah Zuri series into the curriculum of several school districts. How difficult is that in a space where it's taking away and cutting and trying to convince these people that this is important? Is it difficult?
Oh, it's difficult. It's difficult because it's Black, right? So it's difficult, but I don't allow it to discourage me. I get a lot of no's, but I keep on pushing until I can turn those no's into a yes. And at the end of the day, I keep the child's needs first. Once again, I wish someone vouched for me. I wish someone spoke up for us. So even if I get a school that is interested, but their hands are kind of tied, I'll do my best to maybe go a few levels up and see what we can do. Or if it comes down to funding, I'll reach out to corporate sponsors, organizations, see how we can cover the expense of the books. Because at the end of the day, these kids are worth it. There is a child that came up to me earlier this year, and I'm also a mom of 2. And he said, well, if you have kids, what are you doing here talking to us? And I said, because you're someone's kid too, and you're important. And he just looked at me with the stare like no one has ever told him he's important. So regardless of how many no's I get, Claudia, I'm going to continue to push, because children do deserve to see a reflection of themselves. They do deserve to have that seed of self-love implemented in them versus images from our past that are not spreading the right light of empowerment and richness of everything that we are and who we come from. And I'm continuing on with the series. Niyah Zuri and the Mind Eclipse is coming, and I'm actually taking a step further, taking that big dream. I'm actually launching it into a cartoon series. So I'm working right now with a team of animators, and I'll be pitching soon to all the networks. So keep an eye on me, follow me, keep in touch. And we are going to make sure this is not only in books, but we'll also have representation in cartoons and digital media content.
Wow. I mean, on top of all the other things, the 3 languages, the books, the this, the that, a mother, I'm going to get my life together, okay?
Stop it, Claudia. You're getting your life. You're getting your life. I'm just igniting that flame a little bit. And that's what we need to do. We need to elevate each other and inspire one another.
Oh, no. It's okay. I can recognize when I'm out of my league. Okay, you got it going on, sis. And I'm very proud of you. We'll be following your journey. I want to thank Tracy McMillan and Nyakana, who is amazing, both of these ladies, for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for watching us on the Fox Soul TV mobile app. Stay tuned, because the Mike and Donnie show is up next. I'll see y'all back here on Monday. Y'all have a great weekend. Take care.